We have in the studio joining us to also talk about this, Tony Usidiamen. He will be joining us to discuss the protest. He is a public relations consultant and social advocate. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we saw the visuals coming from the Lekki tour. As of yesterday, the developments we had was that the protesters had decided to carry out a car procession, but some other persons decided to get to the toll gate. Perhaps they were not updated with recent developments, but we also saw the heavy presence of security personnel at the toll gate, and we also saw the press there. But when you look at how things have gone, stemming from what happened last year and now, trying to perhaps, can you say that we have learnt lessons and we're trying to ensure that what happened last year is not repeated from what we are seeing? Because some other persons are saying that the police should ensure that there is no heavy show of force today, although there have been 5 arrests earlier today. But then when you see what is going, basically, what more can you say?
I think first and foremost, I want to salute the Nigerian youths who, this time last year, started the entire NSAS campaign to end police brutality in the country. And contrary to what some people would say, describing the attempt by the youths as futile, I actually think it was a huge success, because issues that had been hitherto swept under the carpet were now brought to the front burner, so much so that the government of the day acceded to a 5-point demand made by the youths. So first and foremost, salute the doggedness of the youths who took their own destiny in their hands and did something when people that should, parents, traditional rulers, religious leaders, political leaders, all failed. But the Nigerian youth stood as one, and then they let their voice be heard. So first and foremost, salute to the Nigerian youths. Whether we have learned any lessons from last year, there's still a lot of questions around the protest, especially the event we're marking today, 1-year anniversary of the Lekki shootings. Up till this moment, the government has not come out to tell us what happened.
Right, so we cannot cut yet, because they are still back and forth with regards to if there were shootings or not.
Yes.
Right. So we'll have to keep that. Is still an issue, or that is being, still debated. Okay. So let's just keep that as an aside.
Now, if we stick to the 5-point demand, the government did well by setting up by disbanding the rogue Sars team, and then setting up the judicial panel of inquiry in the different states of the federation. If you check, you'll find that it is mostly in the southern states like Lagos, where these panels have been really, really effective. I understand, as at last count, that compensations were paid to some 25 victims of police brutality as a result of the judicial panel of inquiry. But you can't say the same about so many other states of the federation, and some states did not even constitute those panels in the first place, particularly in the north.
We'll still continue our conversation in the studio, but we have our correspondent in Abuja, Sifon, who is standing at the Unity Fountain, where the protest is supposed to hold in Abuja. Sifon, quickly talk to us. So what is happening where you are? Sifon, can you hear me?
Well, the rally was actually held. They gathered for a while behind me here. And, for a while, security forces had been on their trail. And let me just look at the pictures so you can see them. At this moment, they are beginning to disperse. A number of vehicles have stopped here to pick away some of these youths who joined the rally. Far from where we are, behind the cameraman is actually, we have a joint task force of security forces from the NSCDC, the police, the immigration, the Nigerian Army, the Navy, the Air Force, actually keeping watch as to what these people within the unity faction.
All right, our correspondent Sifon Esian bringing us up to speed with the protests held in commemoration of the hashtag #EndSARS at the Unity Fountain. He was telling us that some persons gathered, but they have begun to disperse, and that security personnel were watching to monitor activities around the Unity Fountain. We'll definitely get back to him for more updates as soon as we can. But back to you, Tony. You talked about the fact that some things were achieved with regards to the hashtag #EndSARS. But then when you look at some persons will say that not much in terms of government's response to the protest and the demands. We haven't seen some security personnel being brought to book. We cannot yet say that justice has been seen to be done. And then we also have the fact that there are still about 300 protesters still held in police custody. We don't know if they are taking them to court to have their time in court anytime soon. These are some issues that persons are waiting to see and hear from government to know what is going on.
Yes, and I'm one of those people because I have been, besides being a part of the protest in the heat of the, street walks last year, I've also been monitoring events, especially the judicial panel of inquiry across all of the states, and then the how much government is meeting the 5-point agenda. I started by saying it did well, first by disbanding the group and then setting up this judicial panel of inquiry, but how much this judicial panels have achieved seems to be seen because, like I said, only places like Lagos actually had proper panels and have, paid compensation to families of victims as a result of these panels. Most other states are still dragging their feet with regards to this. Abuja had hearings stalled for a while.
So where do we go
resumed
from here quickly as a government and as a people? Quickly.
I think the government needs to show more that it is sincere when it comes to these demands of the youths. And that is ensuring that all of the states and all of the panels, all of the places where the panels have been held, the recommendations are all implemented. You mentioned rightly that the officers who were seen to have abused people, proven to have abused citizens, haven't yet been brought to book. The government needs to follow through on all of these recommendations to assure the people that the panels weren't just set up to keep them quiet, but there are attempts at addressing the issues that affect the youth. It is only when the people see this level of sincerity in the government that they can come to be calm and then maintain, comport themselves in a peaceful manner. But when the government is seen to be playing tricks, with all of these things, then you can't prevent agitations like this coming out in the future.
All right, we'll leave it there now. Thank you so much, public relations consultant and social advocate Tony Usidiamen, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right.